This video covers Section 4, Part 4, Caching with CloudFront. You can write your own code to customize how your CloudFront distributions process HTTP requests and responses. The code you write and attach to your CloudFront distribution is called an edge function. The code runs close to your users to minimize latency, and you don't have to manage servers or other infrastructure. You can write code to manipulate the requests and responses that flow through CloudFront. You can also perform tasks like basic authentication and authorization or generation of HTTP responses at the edge. CloudFront provides two ways to write and manage edge functions. The first is Lambda at Edge. This extension of AWS Lambda offers powerful and flexible computing for complex functions and full application logic closer to your viewers. It is also highly secure. Lambda at Edge functions run in a Node.js or Python runtime environment. You publish them to a single AWS region. When you associate the function with a CloudFront distribution, Lambda at Edge automatically replicates your code around the world. CloudFront functions are lightweight JavaScript functions for high-scale, latency-sensitive CDN customizations. The CloudFront functions runtime environment offers sub-millisecond startup times, scales immediately to handle millions of requests per second, and is highly secure. CloudFront Functions is a native feature of CloudFront, which means you can build, test, and deploy your code entirely within CloudFront. This diagram illustrates how Lambda at Edge functions run. The white boxes highlight steps that Lambda manages, while the purple box highlights the steps CloudFront manages. When you associate the function with a CloudFront distribution, Lambda at Edge automatically replicates your code around the world. Lambda at Edge functions are run in a regional edge cache, usually in the AWS region closest to the CloudFront edge location that the client can reach. This Lambda function code demonstrates how to change the origin domain name based on the CloudFront viewer country header. In this way, content is served from an origin that is closer to the viewer's country. Using this functionality for your distribution can reduce latencies when the specified region is near to the viewer's country. It can also provide data sovereignty by making sure data is served from an origin in the same country the request came from. Similar to Lambda at Edge, CloudFront Functions runs your code in response to events that CloudFront generates. CloudFront Functions can be invoked after CloudFront receives a request from a viewer, before CloudFront forwards the response to the viewer. When you associate a CloudFront function with a CloudFront distribution, CloudFront intercepts requests and responses at CloudFront edge locations and passes them to your function. This function code redirects the viewer to a different URL and also returns a customer response header. In this example, the developer sends a request to the distribution's domain name. The function redirects them to https://aws.amazon.com/CloudFront and adds the custom response header. How do you know whether to use Lambda at Edge instead of CloudFront functions? Well, generally speaking, Lambda at Edge gives you more options and capacity to create edge functions. However, CloudFront Functions gives you a quick way to handle lightweight functions at the edge at about 1/6 the cost of Lambda at Edge, all within CloudFront. Lambda at Edge is a good choice for functions that take milliseconds or more to complete, functions that require adjustable memory or CPU, functions that depend on third-party libraries, including the AWS SDKs for integration with other AWS services, functions that require network access to use external services for processing, and functions that require file system access or access to the body of HTTP requests. CloudFront Functions is a good choice for use cases such as cache key normalization, header manipulation, header URL redirects, and request authorization. Here are the key takeaways for this section of the module. CloudFront is a fast CDN service that delivers data globally with low latency and high transfer speeds. CloudFront distributions can serve web, video, or live streaming content. A cache key is the unique identifier for each object in the cache. And you can use CloudFront Functions and Lambda at Edge to customize how your distribution processes requests and responses. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.